The day I realized what it felt like to be truly betrayed, I was sitting at our big shiny brown dining table. All around me were letters from colleges I had applied to. Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they were all there. Each letter had a fancy name and looked very important. They were scattered on the table like dry, fallen leaves. My hands shook as I picked up the newest one from Princeton. The words congratulating me blurred because of my tears. Mom. Dad. I got in. I got into Princeton. I shouted. My voice echoed in our huge old Victorian house. This house had been in the Soren family for 3 generations, and it was full of old pictures, fancy furniture, and memories. Before I continue, don't forget to subscribe and join the awesome community. Drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from and what you think of the story. My mother's heels clicked on the wooden floor as she came closer. I couldn't tell what she was feeling. My father followed behind, his usual confident walk, looking unsure for the first time. That's wonderful, Kyron, my mother said. But she didn't sound excited at all. She looked at my father. He cleared his throat and loosened his silk tie. Sit down, Kathy. We need to talk, he said. I sat back in my chair, still holding the letter. Something about the way they looked made my stomach twist like a knot. Your brother, Evander, my father began, his tech company is doing really well. The thing he built could change how we store renewable energy. He paused and adjusted his glasses. But he needs a lot of money to make it work. My mother stepped closer to the table. Her hands touched the smooth wood, brushing it lightly. We've decided to use the money we've saved for your college to help him. It's a big chance, one that could make the family rich for many generations. That's great, I said, though my voice sounded small and unsure. But what about my college money? The fund you've been saving since I was born. A heavy silence fell. Felt like something pressing hard on my chest. Kyron, my father said, using my full name. That never meant anything good. We've decided to use your college money to help Evander. It's what's best for the family. I felt like the world had flipped upside down. What? But that's my money. You promised. That's not fair. Don't be selfish, Kyron, my mother said sharply. Evander's project could be worth millions. You can take loans like other people or maybe go to a local college for a few years. I stared at them. The people who had raised me, who always told me education was important, who had cheered me on when I dreamed of going to an Ivy League school. They were now taking my dreams away to help my brother. Evander had always been the favorite. He was 4 years older than me. He had dropped out of college to chase his own business ideas. While I worked hard in high school, getting perfect grades, being class president, winning science competitions, Evander tried business after business and failed each time. But each time he got more money from our parents. How much? I whispered, my voice shaking. My father frowned. How much did we give him? All of it, my mother said, looking uncomfortable. The full $289,000. The number hit me like a punch. Almost $300,000 gone. Every birthday gift from grandparents, every dollar I earned in summer jobs, every penny saved for my future. All given to Evander without asking me. I jumped up and my chair fell backward. Did you even ask me? It's my money. Kyron Marvina Soren, my father boomed. That is enough. This decision is final. Evander's project is important, and as part of this family, you must support what's best for everyone. Best for everyone? I laughed, or maybe sobbed. You mean best for Evander? Evander has vision, my mother said. He sees chances others don't. Sometimes that means taking risks. Risks with my future. I shouted louder than I expected. What about my vision? My chances? My father's face became very serious. If you don't understand supporting your family, maybe you aren't as mature as we thought. Go to your room until you can talk calmly. I was 18 years old, being sent to my room like a little kid, just for being upset that my parents were taking my future. Something inside me changed that day. I saw my family differently and I knew I had to do something. Without saying a word, I went upstairs. But instead of crying on my bed like they might expect, I started packing my backpack. Clothes, my laptop, an emergency credit card I had never used, and most importantly, my papers. Birth certificate, social security card, and passport. From my sock drawer, I got the $200 I had saved from tutoring. I hadn't added it to my college money because I planned to use it for Princeton stuff. Now it would be for something else. As I packed, I remembered all of Evander's failures. His first failed startup was a social media app for pets, which burned through $50,000 of our parents' money. His second attempt was a cryptocurrency that lasted only 3 months. Each time he failed, he got more support. Meanwhile, I was told to be practical about my dreams. Then the doorbell rang. I looked out the window and saw Evander's Tesla pulling in. Of course, he was coming for more money. I could hear their voices downstairs. Evander laughing, my mom sounding proud, my dad sounding impressed. Perfect family moment for them. Perfect excuses for Evander. I opened my laptop one last time and wrote 2 emails. The first was to Princeton. Dear Admissions Committee, I'm very sorry, but I cannot attend Princeton this fall because of money problems. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Kyron Soren. The second was to my parents. Mom and Dad, you made your choice and now I'm making mine. Don't look for me. Don't try to contact me. I will find my own way without your money or our family name. Kyron. I sent the emails and then took the battery out of my phone. From downstairs, I could hear Evander giving his newest pitch to my parents. In his world, $289,000 was probably just a number. But for me, it was the last straw. I slung my backpack over my shoulder, looked at my trophies, medals, and certificates in my room, the proof of a life spent trying to earn my parents' approval, and I walked out the window, climbing down the trellis. I hadn't done this since I was 14. My feet touched the ground softly and I didn't look back. I had $200 in my pocket, a lifetime of hard work in my head, and a burning determination in my heart. I wanted to show them they had made the biggest mistake ever. I didn't know it yet, but 10 years later, I would be in a boardroom watching them pitch their failing company to investors, not realizing their last hope was the daughter they had ignored. But that was later. First, I had to build something from nothing. I had to become someone they never expected. With each step away from my home, my determination grew. They wanted to risk everything on Evander. Fine. I would risk everything on myself. I didn't need their $289,000. The first night on my own was hard. I sat in a 24-hour diner on the edge of Boston, my backpack under my feet, watching my phone battery die. Before it went dark, I saw 17 missed calls from my mom, 5 from my dad, and 1 text from Evander. Don't be dramatic, Kathy. Come home. I ordered another coffee, spreading my remaining cash on the table, $178.42. The bus ticket from Connecticut had taken more money than I thought. More coffee, hun? Asked the waitress, Maribel. She had kind eyes and a name tag with 5 gold stars. Thanks, I said, hesitating. Are you hiring? She looked me over. Nice clothes, expensive laptop, the look of a rich kid pretending to run away, but maybe something in my face made her pause. Kitchen help, she said finally. 6 to 2 minimum wage plus tips. Start tomorrow if you want. There's a motel down the street. Tell Joss I sent you. That night, in a motel room that smelled like old cigarettes and cleaning supplies, I opened my laptop and started planning. The Princeton letter was still in my bag, reminding me of the future I had lost. But as I stared at it, an idea came. I had spent years tutoring rich kids in math and science. Their parents paid a lot because I got results. Perfect SAT scores, better grades, early college admissions. I had always thought of it as extra money for college. Now I saw it as something bigger. I opened a new document and started typing. Elite Academic Consulting, Special Tutoring and College Admissions Help, founded by a Princeton-accepted scholar. I thought about all the students I had helped in the past. I remembered the look on their parents' faces when their kids got higher grades, when they got accepted into better schools. That made me realize I had a real skill. I could teach. I could guide. And I could do it on my own. I spent hours that night thinking about what I would do. I wrote down lists of things I needed. A small office, some flyers, a website. I thought about how I would find students. How I would prove that even without my parents' money I could make it work. The next morning I woke up before the sun. I had a small motel room, but I felt free. I walked to the diner where Maribel worked and she gave me a uniform, a plain apron and a hat, and introduced me to the kitchen. I washed dishes, cut vegetables, and learned how to move fast in a busy kitchen. Every spare moment I worked on my tutoring idea. I made flyers with my laptop, wrote emails to families I had taught before, and planned a schedule. Slowly, step by step, I started building my dream. Weeks passed. I didn't have a fancy college or a big room in a mansion, or thousands of dollars in my bank account. But I had determination. I had skill. And I had the will to show my parents that I didn't need them to succeed. I thought about Evander a lot. He was probably asking my parents for more money even now. But I didn't care. I had my own plan. And I knew one day, they would see that the practical, obedient daughter they ignored was the one who could actually succeed. The first few months were hard. I worked long hours in the diner and spent nights tutoring students. I sometimes felt lonely, but I never gave up. Every time I thought about quitting, I remembered the day my parents took my money. That memory gave me energy. Slowly, my tutoring business grew. Students recommended me to friends. Families who saw results kept coming back. I wasn't just surviving, I was building something from nothing. Something I had created with my own hands, my own mind, and my own heart. I never forgot the Princeton letter. I kept it in my bag folded carefully. It reminded me of what I had lost and why I was fighting so hard. It reminded me that I could still succeed without my parents' help. Years passed. I became known as a smart, hardworking tutor and advisor. Families trusted me, students thrived, and my business grew bigger than I ever imagined. I never let anyone tell me that I couldn't do it. And in my heart, I knew that one day I would show my parents. They had taken $289,000 from me, but they couldn't take my determination, my skill, or my courage. That was mine forever. I had left the Soren estate with only $200 in my backpack. Now I had a life built from nothing. And it was all mine. I worked all night making a simple website using the coding skills I had learned in AP Computer Science. By the time the sun came up, I had also made business cards at an all-night print shop, spending $50 from my own savings. That $50 felt huge to me, but I was excited. I had started something and I wanted it to grow. The next 6 months were very busy and every day felt long and tiring. From 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I worked at a diner learning every little thing about how a business runs. Maribel, the owner, had been running this diner for 20 years. She knew everything about food, money, and people. She taught me about keeping track of the food in the kitchen, scheduling workers, and how to handle customers politely. But the most important thing she taught me was how to understand people. If you could understand what someone wanted or needed, you could help them better and they would trust you. From 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., I worked on my tutoring business. My first student came because a regular customer at the diner had seen me helping Maribel's daughter with her math homework during my break. The customer told her friends, and soon, more parents started asking if I could tutor their kids too. People in the wealthy neighborhoods of Boston were talking about me. They said, "There is a young tutor who got into Princeton but chose to wait a year. She can explain very hard things clearly and she promises good results." I never told anyone my real last name. Kyron Soren became Kyron Soren and nobody questioned it. They didn't care about where I came from or which college I went to. They only cared that I could help their children succeed. By the third month, I was making enough money from tutoring to quit working at the diner full-time. But I still helped Maribel on weekends because she had become like a friend and a teacher to me. She taught me lessons about business that no fancy school could ever teach. "You are very good with numbers," she said one Sunday while watching me make her inventory system work better. "But you are even better with people. That's where real success comes from." He was right. My students didn't just pay for help with schoolwork. They paid for confidence. They paid for hope. They paid for a chance to achieve the future that their parents dreamed of. And I understood that better than anyone. One day, while helping a student with their college essay, the student's mother said something that changed everything. She said, "If only you could clone yourself. Every parent in Boston would hire you." That night I couldn't sleep. Clone myself? No, I couldn't do that, but I could grow my business. I could scale. I started contacting other smart students who had gotten into top colleges but chose to take a gap year. Many of them were very intelligent but needed money just like I did. I offered them a deal. Work under my name, use my methods, and earn 70% of the fees while I found clients and did the marketing. Within 2 months, my business called Elite Academic Consulting had 10 tutors. Within 6 months, we had offices in Boston, New York, and Greenwich, Connecticut. I made sure to avoid areas near my family so they wouldn't recognize me. My first $1 million came faster than I had imagined. I earned it through tutoring and smart investments in tech stocks. I lived simply and poured every extra dollar back into my business to help it grow. While my brother Evander probably spent money on his latest risky projects, I was building something real and lasting. Tutoring was just the beginning. Through my wealthy clients, I started hearing about business opportunities. Startups needing money, established companies looking for fresh ideas. I listened carefully, learned as much as I could, and always planned my next move. The big opportunity came while tutoring Aloan Sini, daughter of tech billionaire Driven Howren. While helping her with advanced economics, I noticed an investment plan for her father's company, Chincheek Solutions, lying open on the desk. "Dad's worried," Aloan said during a break. "The new energy project is failing, but he's invested too much to back out now." Energy storage. Just like the technology Evander had always dreamed of creating. I spent that entire night researching the company and the project. I realized it was failing for two reasons, and I also realized how to fix it. It took 3 weeks to get a meeting with Driven Howren. I used every connection I had made through tutoring and networking. When I finally sat across from him in his office, he looked amused. "Miss Soren," he said, "my daughter speaks very highly of you. But why do you think you understand energy storage technology?" I opened my laptop and started my presentation. I explained everything clearly, step by step. For hours later, he was no longer smiling. Instead, he offered me a partnership. 30% stake, he said. I replied, "I want 40% and full control of the technical development." He thought for a moment and agreed. 6 months later, China's new energy storage system was changing the industry. The technology Evander had dreamed of making, I had actually built, but under a different name and with a different company. My net worth grew to 9 figures almost overnight. But I didn't stop there. Using Chin's success as a starting point, I began buying struggling tech companies, especially in the energy field. I did it secretly through holding companies and shell companies so no one could see that it was me. I hired the best lawyers and accountants to make a complicated network of companies that all connected to Soren Enterprises, my private holding company. To the outside world, Soren Enterprises was run by a mysterious CEO who never appeared in public and never gave interviews. Years passed and my empire grew. I moved from Boston to New York to Silicon Valley, always careful to avoid any accidental meetings with my family. I also kept track of them through discreet sources. Evander kept failing with his projects. The family fortune that had been built over generations was slowly being spent on his mistakes. Then one morning in my San Francisco office, my assistant brought me news. "Soren Technologies is looking for investors," she said. "They are almost bankrupt. Your father is meeting with potential buyers next week." I smiled. After 10 years, everything had come full circle. "Schedule a meeting," I said. "But use the Soren Enterprises letterhead. Let's see if they recognize the daughter they ignored for so long." The Soren Technologies building hadn't changed in 10 years. Same fancy granite walls, same gold letters, same security guards staring at a crossword puzzle. But now, walking through the revolving doors wearing my Armani suit, I was no longer the teenager they had dismissed. A young assistant hurried up. "Miss Soren, the board is waiting. May I take your coat?" I handed it over, trying not to smile. My mother had always said that true power comes in fancy clothes. Today, I was wearing enough money in my outfit to fund one of Evander's failed projects. "Coffee?" the assistant asked. "Green tea," I replied, remembering how my mother used to tease me for liking tea more than coffee. "Proper brewing time, no sugar." The elevator ride to the top floor gave me time to focus. 10 years of careful work, planning, and growing my business had led to this moment. I had secretly bought Soren Technologies' debt, making me their only hope. Their future was in my hands. The conference room doors opened. My father, Cashin Soren, sat at the head of the table, soon to be replaced by me. My mother, Marvina, sat beside him, perfectly straight but clearly nervous. Evander slouched in his chair, tapping his phone, not noticing what was about to happen. "Miss Soren," my father said, shaking my hand. "Thank you for coming. We've heard great things about Soren Enterprises." I noticed his hand was slightly trembling. The great Cashin Soren was nervous. "Good. Please sit," I said. "Let's talk about why we are here." For the next hour, they explained that Soren Technologies needed $50 million just to survive. Their stock had dropped 70% in 1 quarter. Evander's latest energy project had drained the last of their money. "We believe with proper investment," my father said, "the company could succeed again." I opened my laptop and showed graphs. "Your company started declining about 10 years ago," I said. "It matches some of your investment choices." Evander shifted uncomfortably in his chair. My mother tapped her fingers nervously. We took calculated risks, my father said. Calculated? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Investing $289,000 in an unproven energy project? That was my stolen college fund. The room went silent. Evander opened his mouth but stopped. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. 10 years of planning, hard work, and patience had led to this moment. The girl they ignored, the practical daughter they had dismissed, now held the power over their company, their fortune, and their future. I walked to the window and looked out over the city. The tall buildings seemed to touch the clouds, and the streets were full of cars and people rushing around. I turned back to face my family. Tell me, Mr. Soren, I said, what do you think was your biggest mistake in business? My dad cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. Maybe expanding too fast into some markets? I shook my head slowly. No, I said firmly. Your biggest mistake was sitting in this room 10 years ago, thinking I would just accept your decision and quietly disappear. You thought I would just go away and never come back. You thought you could decide my life for me. My mom's face turned pale and she looked like she might faint. Evander's phone fell to the table with a loud clatter, making everyone jump. My dad's expression froze. He started to understand. Kyron, he whispered. I smiled. It was a small, quiet smile but full of power. Hello, Dad. Evander. It's been a while. Evander's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. This is impossible, he stuttered. You're Kyron Soren? I shook my head and straightened my jacket. Actually, I'm Kyron Soren now. I even legally changed my name. I sat down calmly, enjoying the shocked looks on their faces. But you'd know that if you had tried to find me properly these past 10 years. My mom was the first to speak, her voice trembling. Darling, we tried to find you. We really did. No, I said sharply, cutting her off. You called a few people half-heartedly for a few weeks, then decided I was being dramatic and would come home when I ran out of money. That's not trying. That's giving up. I turned my gaze to Evander. By the way, how did that energy storage technology project work out? The one you needed my college fund for. His face turned bright red. There were unexpected problems, he muttered, avoiding my eyes. I raised my eyebrows and smiled. Funny thing is, Soren Enterprises' subsidiary, Chintech Solutions, seems to have solved those problems very well. I pulled up a presentation on my tablet and showed the design for the energy storage system I had helped develop. The very system that had made me my first $1 billion. My dad's eyes went wide. Do you own Chintech? And more? I nodded. Yes. I also own elite academic consulting Soren Global Ventures, and as of last month, about 40% of Soren Technologies' debt. And that's not all. The room turned chaotic. Evander jumped up and knocked over his chair. My mom covered her face with her hands. My dad just sat there, frozen, realizing his empire was slowly crumbling before him. Why? He finally asked. His voice was quiet, almost broken. Why didn't you just tell us who you were? I leaned forward, my eyes on him. Because I wanted you to see the truth. Not as parents with a daughter, but as failing business people facing someone more successful than you ever imagined I could be. What do you want? Evander shouted, almost jumping out of his seat. Revenge? Is this revenge? I laughed softly, a calm and almost cold laugh. Revenge, brother? If I wanted revenge, I would have bought this company 6 months ago and fired all of you immediately. But I didn't. I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to fix what you broke. I straightened my jacket and continued. No, what I want is to save Soren Technologies. I want to help with debt restructuring, put money into the company, and work together with Chintech Solutions to make it better than ever. My mom's hands fell from her face and she looked at me with wide eyes. What does that mean? She asked softly. It means, I said slowly, letting the words sink in, that I am offering to save your company. But there are conditions. My dad's serious business face came back and he straightened in his chair. Conditions? He asked carefully. Yes, I said. First, Evander is out. No more jobs in the company. No more investments. No more wasting company money on projects that don't work. Evander started to protest loudly, but my dad gave him a sharp look. Evander fell silent, realizing that this wasn't the time to argue. Second, I said, turning to my parents, you two need to retire. Dad, the company needs new leadership, not old strategies that don't work anymore. And Mom, it's time to step back and let someone else lead. My mom's voice was almost a whisper. And third. I smiled, a small, confident smile. Third, you admit that sending me away was the best thing you ever did for me. Everything I built without the Soren name, without your connections, and without your money. I built it all myself. Silence filled the room. My dad stared at the screen showing all the companies I had built. My mom's eyes filled with tears. I wasn't sure if they were tears of pride, sadness, or regret. Evander slumped in his chair, finally realizing that his younger sister had accomplished everything he had failed to do. Do we have a deal? I asked, knowing exactly what the answer would be. My dad nodded slowly. We do, Miss Soren. Good, I said, standing and gathering my things. The papers will be ready tomorrow. I paused at the door and looked at my mom. Oh, and the local community college you suggested? They're now one of my charitable foundation's biggest helpers. Shows that smart decisions can lead to amazing results. I walked out of the building, leaving behind the place that had once felt like everything I couldn't have. Outside, Maribel, my first boss and now my company's chief operating officer, was waiting with a car. How did it go? She asked, handing me a cup of perfectly brewed green tea. Exactly as planned, I said, taking a sip. Though I think I'll keep the diner story out of the company history for now. She laughed softly. Are you sure about this? Saving their company after everything they did to you? I looked back at the Soren Technologies building. I thought about the scared 18-year-old girl who had left home with just $200 and a burning determination to prove herself. You know what I learned in that diner, Maribel? I said. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying what others built. The best revenge is building something so amazing that they are forced to see their mistakes. And did they see it? I smiled, remembering my dad's face when he realized who I really was, my mom's tears and Evander's quiet defeat. They will, I said. Every time they see the new company name, Soren Technologies, they will remember me. I opened my laptop to check the stock market and business updates. After all, I had promised to help the family business, but I would do it my way. As the car drove past the skyscrapers, past the offices that once felt out of reach, I thought about my Princeton acceptance letter still framed in my office. Next to it were my first business license, my first $1 million contract, and a simple name tag that read, Kyron, server from a certain 24-hour diner. Sometimes the best future isn't the one that someone else plans for you. It's the one you build yourself step by step. $1 at a time. One dream at a time. One small victory at a time. And sometimes, just sometimes, $200 and a belief in yourself is worth more than all the family fortunes in the world.